Hey superstars, welcome to the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast, and I am your host Vanessa for this journey. We're going to be challenging some stereotypes, shattering glass ceilings, really looking at what it takes to live richly and to design a business that's going to support the life that you really want to be living. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips, tools, and strategies along the way, and I can't wait for you to join me on this journey. Hey superstars, welcome back to another episode of Get Rich Without Being a Bitch. We've been working through this mini training on some core concepts to take your firm to the next level. And the really important conversation today has to be around team. Because if you built your firm and are building your firm because you want a level of flexibility and freedom and enjoyment, you are going to need team. Right? It's impossible to do everything yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to be constantly chained to your desk, checking emails, doing all of the client work, right? And all the admin and everything else. And chances are you probably need to hire sooner than you think as well. Like hiring and the right people, the rock stars, is an investment in your business. But let's kind of start back with what are not Rockstar team members. Because I can tell you that I hear a lot of stories. Bad attitude, sloppy work, needing an awful lot of hand holding, like every step of the way, not taking initiative. Frankly, not a cultural fit. We often refer to them as like the toxic employees. Sometimes that's a tricky place to navigate. You might have somebody that's a really good producer and they're actually worth a lot financially to your firm, but yet they're toxic, right? They've got such a bad attitude. Other team members don't want to work with them. If you've got a paralegal, the paralegal's, crying in your office because so-and-so's, being mean or whatever it is again, right? And they kind of just put a bad vibe, right, through the firm. So Rockstar team members, are a culture fit. And of course, your culture is going to be different to everybody else's. You get to design that as well. It's like, what is the culture that you want to have in your firm? And if it's one that's about high performing, but it's also, perhaps it's work hard, but we play hard together as well. Like we really enjoy spending the time. You want to make sure that you have got the right fit, that right attitude, right? We cannot train attitude. So you want to make sure that you are hiring for it, you're interviewing around it, and really doing as much detective work, as I was going to say, to make sure that you're hiring the right attitude, because that is not something that you can honestly train. You really can't. People that do really good quality work, right? That's important. For me, a rock star is not, is somebody that's giving me a really great product. Now, I get it, depending on the levels that you're employing, people might need different levels of training, right? They're earlier in their legal expertise compared to you. But what I'm not okay with is sloppiness, right? It's things that can be run through a spell checker, details that, anybody could frankly see that there are mistakes, and yet you get presented with them. Right? So that proactiveness, the desire to deliver to you if they're going through you, or to the clients if they're now directly client facing, a high quality product. I love team members as well that are creative, that are bringing great ideas to the table, ways to improve, right? A great rock star team member as well should be, frankly, having different areas of expertise to you, and excelling in different things, like areas where they're better than you, right? So that you are not the bottleneck for everything. So you've got to really define who it is that you want to be hiring and get very, very clear. So I would say a couple of the mistakes here around Rockstar team is we hire when we're desperate. As I say, you've gone too far, and I've done it. I made this mistake myself. I got so busy that I kind of hired on the fly, and the minute I say that, I can think of somebody. I mean, she was so not a fit for what we were doing. And yet in my busyness, I completely missed all of the clues because I was just going too fast, right? And I didn't go through the process that I would do today. And I think this particular person lasted a matter of days, right? We really had to part company very, very quickly. So I got desperate. And what did I do? I reached out into my network, which is, I think, what a lot of us do. And who do you know? And somebody said, oh, there's somebody. She just recently left a job. She's looking for something. I trusted that person's judgment. Again, I didn't do my due diligence. So that's all on me. And the person that I hired was a completely wrong fit. And I only discovered this once they were working and they were actually part of a larger team that I had. And now all of a sudden they're working together. And it was her attitude. It was her attitude to other team members that was really off-putting. And this is somebody that's coming new. So she's the newcomer, but she's kind of pulling rank and, as I say, being disrespectful. And after that incident, we parted ways very, very rapidly. So coming back to your Rockstar team members as well, we don't want to hire when we're desperate. We typically need a little bit more runway. And that can be at times tricky to define, right? I get it. We're busy. Then we're like, do we have the financials that actually will support the hire? This is something that we work strategically with our clients around. It's like, are they ready to hire? Have they got enough runway financially to support the new hire and the onboarding of the new hire, which for us, we call that a 90-day process, that, they don't have to have that person producing, revenue generating if they're in that type of role and getting up to speed immediately, right? Because that desperation creates a lot of stress. It creates a lot of stress for the new hire, and guaranteed they cannot be set up for success that way. So the kind of timing, right, of that new hire is important. But then it's really important to have a very clearly defined role. So yes, that can look like the job description, right? Is it clear? I see job descriptions, they come past my desk, they come past our people coach that she's an expert in HR. And we're like, oh, wow, you've got way too many things going on here. You're expecting like this person to be the unicorn, right? That can do all of these different things. They can be analytical, but they can be creative. They might be doing a little bit of marketing. It's almost as if the job description has been thrown together by everything that you want to have off of your plate and now put into one person. And again, it's incredibly rare that you would find that person, and you can't set them up for success. So we want to make sure that we've got very clear roles and areas of responsibility and have those clearly defined. Now, you've got to have a good interview process as well, right? You've got to be able to have good screening. What are you actually screening for, right? When you're getting those applications in, it's not uncommon that you may receive a lot of resumes, for example. One of the things that we do is we put a little test when we're hiring, when somebody has to send their resume and their cover letter, and we'll give them very specific instructions to follow, like a subject line that's very specific in an email and something else that they have to mention. And that is one of our first levels of screening to screen people out, because if they're not paying attention to that level of detail when they're sending their resume in, we just know full well they're not going to work out. So there's actually a lot of things that we can do smartly as the owners, right? That doesn't mean to say we have to review everything, but we can start to get, weed people out, right? Even before the interviews have started. Again, the interview process. We've got to make sure that we've got a solid interview process, that we're asking what are called behavioral questions and things that really help define that somebody has had the experience, and we can start to see how they responded to certain things, challenges, right? We can interview to make sure that we're aligned with values, right? Because again, that's what you want to be getting, is people that are aligned with the values that you want for your firm, and again, for that cultural fit. So you want to make sure that you've got a good interview process. Ideally, as well, you might have some kind of an assessment that you can use. Now, we use the Kolbe A index, and we can actually use that legally in the hiring process. So this is one of those ones where I just say, be careful. There's a lot of personality tests on the market that you actually cannot use legally, but the one that we use, you can. And we have a way that with Kolbe, one of the things we really love about it is when our attorneys have got clear on the role and responsibility and the job description, we can actually run a Kolbe for what they want the role to look like, right? So I'm not going to go into what all of that is, but it basically gives us a guide. And when they then have their short list of candidates that come through, and they might be down to the last 2 and 3, we get their candidates to actually take the Kolbe, and we start to see how closely are they compared to the role that we've defined. And it's amazing the level of accuracy that we can predict there. And again, when they haven't gone through that process previously, oftentimes they'll say later, oh, that's exactly why now that person didn't work out. I realized, I took them on because A, I was in a hurry, B, I liked them, but actually they didn't have that natural skill set that I needed. And Kolbe could have shown that for me and frankly saved a lot of time and money. Right? So we've got to think about this with the interview process. There's a lot that goes into building that Rockstar team. And if you've gone through all of that and then you make an offer, right? Day one, how do you really effectively onboard them? Again, big mistakes there is that we're too busy. We don't have a system. We start off well week 1, week 2, and then all of a sudden it falls off a cliff. And there's no real onboarding process. There are no milestones set. There are no one-to-ones happening. There's no feedback loop. I'm a firm believer, especially for Rockstars and especially for the Rockstar team member that you could be hiring. Like, they want to do a good job. They really do. They want to be a good team member. They want to make your life easy. They want to contribute. And oftentimes we, as the owners, don't set them up for success, right? With those very clear expectations, the coaching and mentoring that needs to be part of it so that somebody can get up to speed, right? And really do a great job. So think about, where have you got gaps here, right? There's a whole process. Now, the good news is you don't need to know all of this at once, right? You want to start right back at the beginning and start with really clarifying those roles and responsibilities, right? Is it clear? If you run it past somebody else, does it make sense? Get a different set of eyes on these things. If this is an area that you are looking for help with, please know that these are the very things that we help our clients with. Looking at those financials, we sit down. Does it make sense? Have we got enough money, cash flow, right, to pay for somebody for 90 days, at least 90 days, right, to get them started? Do we then, we then consult with our HR specialist to make sure, does the job description line up? Are the roles and responsibilities clear? What are we putting in place, right, in that interview process? Are we using the Kolbe assessment tool, right? And then what are we looking, at for onboarding? Because here's what I know to be true. Rockstar team members are a delight to work with. It's fun. It's energizing. When you can start to finally breathe again and just know that you have got somebody that's really amazing and you trust them with client work and they do it so well. I mean, frankly, you just breathe new life back into yourself and into your practice. You really do. This is the space now where you will have more time to lead as well, right? And lead the growth of your firm. And you start to get, again, this other level of confidence that it's no longer just you. You've got this amazing team behind you that is part of your sales process as well, right? It gives that confidence in how you can really deliver fabulous outcomes and a wonderful premium experience for your clients. I encourage you to not listen too closely to some of the negative talk that you might be hearing in the industry. Frankly, it seems to happen across the board. Anyone in business, you just can't get good people. It's so hard, all of these things. And the reason I say that is because chances are you are not hiring 100 people. You're listening to this, and the chances are you're going to be hiring, possibly maximum 3 people this year, right? It's a big market out there, and there are really good people, and there are people that are hungry, that want to do great work, that when you can align them with your culture, your vision, your values, right, give them an amazing place in your firm, they're going to excel. And as I say, I think that's when the growth really, really becomes exciting, because now you're really growing beyond you and you start to see a whole new level of what's possible. So once again, superstar, or perhaps you're a rock star too. I'm sure you're both of them. If you are wanting to continue this conversation and be in a community of other women-owned law firms, check out the Legal Collective below. It's my brand new community. It is free. For now, who knows, at some point I might charge for it, but for now it is free to join, and we are launching it in June, and we're going to be hosting monthly events with it, all from the comfort of your office. So it's easy to be a part of, and I would love to have you there.